The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
This message is brought to you by Abercrombie Kids, where the activewear is made for every summer activity, so your mini-me can bring their personal best. Summer days are always an adventure, from day camp to rec leagues and pool days. Abercrombie Kids has the shorts, tees, and swim to keep them comfy and keep up with them. Get everything for the entire summer at Abercrombie Kids. Shop in-store, online, or in the app.
Switch to Verizon Business and get more from your internet without paying more for your internet. Get LTE Business Internet starting at $39 a month when paired with select business mobile plans. That's unlimited data, and with it, unlimited possibilities. Start saving today with Verizon Business, ranked #1 in small business internet customer satisfaction by J.D. Power. Starting price for 25 megabits per second LTE internet plan with smartphone plan savings, plus taxes, fees, and economic adjustment charge. Terms apply. For J.D. Power 2024 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for this day.
Welcome back to Rams Up, your favorite LA Rams podcast. We are part of the Fans First Sports Network, and you can follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/@RamsUpPodcast. I'm your host, Mark. I'll be joined often by my football guru, Ian, along with a bunch of other friends of the show on occasion. Let's get to it.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Rams Up Podcast Network. I'm Ian. That's Mark. If you're on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the channel. If you're on the podcast or audio only side of things, share this podcast and audio with all your fellow Rams fans. Any of those options, we very much appreciate it. But man, we got a lot to talk about. But before we get into it, Rams Nation, we have a very special guest. We have Nicolas Benavides from the LA Football Network. He joins the show as our special guest as we're going to talk about everything with Rams minicamp in Hawaii today. But Nico, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Heck yeah, man. So for anyone out there who does not know of the LAFB network, the LA Football Network, they have a fantastic crew of people, not only covering football, Rams, other LA sports, and pretty much everything up to date. If you are an LA football fan, an LA fan of any sports, they do a fantastic job. So that is the group that Nikko is a part of. You can follow them at LAFB Network on X, Twitter, and you can also follow Nikko at Football by Nikko on X. So tune into their content. But Nikko, tell us about yourself, man, and where did your Rams fandom start?
Yeah. Excuse me. My Rams fandom started in like 2016, 2017. It was really just like the time I was getting into football. I started playing football, fantasy football, with some of my friends from high school. And they were like, sure, just like start watching football with us. And like the great part about fantasy football is like you can go and like watch the players that are on your team and get like interested in it. I got the first pick and I got Todd Gurley. And I was like, wow, Todd Gurley, Rams are moving back to LA. Like, what a great team to be in support of. So had him as like my main guy that year. And that was the year he caught like 7 touchdowns and rushed for like another like 20 pretty much. It was crazy. And yeah, that was the like start of my fandom. I've been a fan since then. So pretty much like since they've moved back to LA. And I actually got to meet Todd Gurley last summer and tell him that story, which was really fun.
Dang, how was that meeting Todd, man?
It was crazy. I got to have the opportunity to be at training camp last summer at LMU, and it was just insane. Like I was just standing there on the sideline the whole time, and I out of the corner of my eye, I'm like, "Who is that over there?" And it's like, "Oh my gosh, that's Todd Gurley!" Like I've never been personally like that starstruck before about meeting someone. I was like, I gotta go and say hello. So I was like, "What's up, man?" I introduced myself. Super nice dude. I talked to him for like couple seconds, and he was like, "I gotta go." And I was like, "Okay, sure." So nice meeting you, man.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. I wish I've met Gurley. I've met some other players at training camp. I've lucked out, but Gurley's on my he's on that bucket list of players I got to talk to. So damn it, I'm jealous.
In his prime, man, in his prime, that 2.5, 3 years, I don't know if there's anybody better.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
2017, he was getting MVP votes. 2018, he was getting some, even though he had the knee stuff at the end, kind of soured that whole end of that great season overall. But look, he burned bright. He was a great LA ambassador and still is to this day. And it's awesome that he's still pulling up the training camp and you're getting a chance to talk with him. But damn, that's cool as hell. So yeah, LA Rams 2.0. That's a great time to join. And for anyone out there who feels a little, I've had this conversation with people about that. It's like, nah, man, the Ramley, we're welcoming anybody at any time. You want to join after listening to this episode? We're taking you in, Rams Nation. So hell yeah, man, that's dope. But all right, Rams Nation, the Rams 2025 minicamp in Maui, Hawaii update as the Rams are finally enjoying the time out there, as it was announced not too long ago that they would be going to Maui, where, yes, they did have horrible fires, and unfortunately, they are still in the process of rebuilding. But with the Rams rejoining the area, as they did have a preseason game back in 2019, the state of Hawaii was very excited to have the Rams out there, as they've had tons of fan interactions, signings for the fans with players. They've also had tons of meet and greets or youth camp events, as you can see here if you're on YouTube with us, Devontae and Puka high-fiving all the guys out there wearing their Rams youth football camp shirts as they hosted, and the players were the coaches for that day. And what a great experience overall for the community of Hawaii. Probably a great experience for the players, coaches, and the organization as a whole. But they did have practice, everyone. It wasn't just fun and games and playing golf and going to the beach and eating good. There was practice. There was important updates, and we'll talk about all those next. So what is the biggest one that we all thought was no-brainer? And then we show up, all today on our news cycle, and we're like, he's back, and who is that? Who am I talking about? Rams re-signed cornerback Darion Kendrick, as we all thought a couple of days ago, or in the last, half a week or so, that Darion was a player that was a cap casualty. We went through it, that the Rams saved $3.4 million in cap space and only had $33,000 in dead money to get rid of Darion Kendrick, as we talked about how Emmanuel Forbes was stepping up. They liked what they seen from AJ Green, not Bengals AJ Green, young AJ Green with us. They liked what they seen from Josh Wallace. And then, of course, Darius Akello, Kobe Durant. And we thought, hey, there was just not enough room for him. But McVay says decision to cut and re-sign Darion Kendrick was a financial one, as they cut him to save all that money we talked about, that $3.4 million in cap. And they said, hey, Darion, we'd like to have you around. Of course, now you're a free agent. It's up to you if you want to come back or not, but we'd like to have you. And this was only a business decision. We don't dislike you. We don't think you can't play. McVay explained that to reporters. And so Darion says, yep, I want a vacation in Hawaii a little bit more. So he's staying around for the preseason at least, and we'll see where it goes from there, as now Darion's on a much cheaper contract. I want to say probably $1 million or less. Those details aren't out there yet. But gentlemen, isn't this kind of crazy how that happened? Mark, I'll start with you, dude. Like, he's back.
Yeah, I'm curious to know, and we'll probably never will know, is this a conversation they had before he was waived? Probably, right?
Yes. And he did say that. Coach McVay did say that, Mark.
Yeah. And did any other teams make a run at him? And because that's, I really expect it. And I even said on one of the podcasts that I fully expected the 49ers to grab him. That's kind of how these things play out. I mean, and maybe they made an offer. We may not know, but I was surprised they cut him, because I thought he was a guy that he's kind of an ace in the hole type of guy. We forgot about him out a whole year, and maybe come back and elevate his play and add to this cornerback room. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Nikko, what are your thoughts on that? Him saying goodbye and welcome back?
Yeah, kind of like you already mentioned. I think it was just really just a financial thing. I just
Yeah.
like clearing the 3 million cap space, and then I know that they really liked his play, and maybe not the penalties, but I know that they coaching staff was like really a fan of him, and he unfortunately got hurt last year during training camp, so he didn't really get to have see more of him and develop him as a player. So I think that having him back is good. He's a young guy. The rest of the cornerback room is also like pretty old. Like I think you got two 30-year-olds
Oh.
and Darius and Nikello. So I think that having a young guy in there, him and Kobe Durant, would be really just good for that young group.
Yeah, I think so too. And look at this point in the year, with everyone having a 90-man roster or even maybe a little bit more, I forget the exact details, but it's not like the old days, Rams Nation, where every week you had to chop off 7 to 10 guys and get to that 53 by that final preseason game almost. NFL's rules and regulations and all that have loosened where you can keep the 90 guys for the whole extent of August leading up to that season. So unless something bad happens, unless he underperforms through camp, which I don't expect. I mean, he's got a lot of starting experience. I don't think he'll underperform, but you never know. Things happen. We all thought Ernest Jones would stick around, and he got traded deep into training camp before the season. So you never know with anybody on this roster. But welcome back, Darion Kendrick. You played some good football for us, and a lot of fans were happy to see him gone for the penalties and other stuff. But hey, the way Chris Shula was talking about him last year, with him getting some burn at the star slot position and others, we'll see if he can earn a spot, keep it, or maybe he even cracks the starting lineup. You never know. But hey, I'm not mad that he's back. I'm definitely not. So good update there from McVay. And McVay also gave us a huge update, everyone, about Alaric Jackson. As we all, and Nikko, I'll get your quick thoughts before we talk more about it. What were your thoughts when you heard that Alaric was dealing with the blood clots?
I mean, it just sucks. He's a good player.
Yeah.
Always seemed like a good guy, and like watching him play at training camp and everything. And he just was one of those guys that came out early and went to go work in the gym first, and then would come out and practice. I know he was been really like held up by injuries in the past, so I think that another injury setback like this really just sucks for him as a dude. And I think that the Rams have really tried to be good on the offensive line front, but I think that's just certain unlucky things like this are just really hindering that fact.
No kidding, though, man. I mean, we all witnessed the 2022 disaster season, and a lot of it had to do because old linemen were dropping like flies every week, it felt like. And that is when Alaric had his first episode of serious blood clots. And McVay gave us an update today about Alaric Jackson, and he is back home getting proper treatment at his family home in Detroit, Michigan, and he is getting that medication for the blood clots. And McVay did say that Alaric, sorry, was feeling a little weird in his lower body, his legs, which that seems to be a common area for most people with blood clots. You hear legs, sometimes arms, and obviously lungs is the most serious. And I'm sure there's other parts too, but he was feeling it there. He got his scans, and yep, there were blood clots. So they immediately got him to get the proper care. And again, he is back at home in Detroit, Michigan, healing up. And McVay did say that, hey, it is day by day. He is in good spirits. Of course, it sucks and it's a bummer that he's not around. And hey, he just got a huge contract, by the way, too. I'm sure. Let's be honest about it. The Rams are pretty stingy with players with injury history and extending them and bad luck in previous years. So I'm sure if this was an issue 2 months ago when free agency was going on, a little bit more than that, earlier this calendar year, I mean, they probably wouldn't have re-signed him. Let's just keep it 100. But regardless, Alaric is a Ram, and we hope that he heals up. But like we talked about, Nikko, last week, me and Mark by ourselves, I fully expect him to miss half the season, at least best case scenario. Let's be honest. We brought up how Christian Barmore from the New England Patriots last year got diagnosed with his blood clot issue in July, got activated in late November, and then 3 weeks later, he had reoccurring symptoms, so then they shut him down again. So that's one example. Of course, Alaric came back and played, a couple years since the 2022 first time around. But what are your thoughts on when you expect to see him back? Again, we don't have the medical diagnosis in front of us, but just your gut feeling based on all that knowledge I just shot at you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. Like you just said, I have no clue what his diagnosis or whatever was. And
I know.
if I were to guess, I would err that they're saying probably going to stay on the safe side, especially because this is like the second time it's happened too. So at this point, I think you're probably shooting for like a 2026 return, as bad as that sounds. Like,
Yeah.
even if
I
it
mean,
was like
that's,
November, December, like maybe you're getting him for the playoffs. So I think that unfortunately might be the case. But as I said before, not a doctor, just a guess.
yeah, I know. Neither are we, everyone out there, in case you didn't know. So I know. But Mark, I mean, your thoughts on McVay's update as well. Like, gosh dang it.
Yeah, it's a bummer. And I go back to, was it the end of the 2023 season when Alaric was tweeting about the Rams need to put the best guys out there. Guys that earn it on the practice field need to be the starters. And then when they re-signed him, what did he say? He said, I don't want to block for anybody but Matthew Stafford. So, he's a team guy. He's perfect for this culture, and that makes it extra painful. But yeah, I'm not going to guess on when he's going to come back. I'm more concerned about, if he does feel good and they feel like he's healthy and he can come back, how difficult is that as a pro athlete to walk out on the field every day just wondering, that's a tough thing to deal with. So I just wish the best for him. Hope he comes back quickly. But his health is the most important thing, is his physical and mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. And DJ Humphries, please save us for however long you're going to be starting. Please, I cannot go through another cycle of battle line play like 2022, or even the games we saw last season. Dolphins game, Lions game, Arizona the first time. Other games I'm blanking on probably, but those three stand out where we lost, unfortunately due to online play, being a big reason why. So Rams got on top of it, signed DJ Humphries, and we'll see what happens. Day at a time, McVay says, on Alaric Jackson, as we wish him well back in Detroit, Michigan, and hopefully he heals up and we'll have a nice long life outside of football. But
And isn't it isn't it surprising that he would go back to Detroit for the best medical care? I thought it would be here in LA, but just saying.
I get it. Well, I think you look at Dr. Neil Elitrosh is our doctor for the Rams, and he is a doctor for the Dodgers, and I think he has some stuff with the Lakers every now and then as well. I don't think he's the team doctor Lakers, but whatever. He's the main guy out here and main guy for a lot of pro athletes for any recovery or anything, and especially surgeries and all that. But he's a brilliant man from all things I've ever heard about him. So I'm sure he's met with him and other specialists with the blood clotting issue, and they said, hey, man, all we can do is give you the medication, and you got to stay away from getting hit and developing natural clotting of bruises, right? Bruises on your body are a natural clot. And they're like, hey, you just need to stay away, and we'll scan you in a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever it'll be, and go home and enjoy the off season with your family. I'm sure McVay, Snead, and Kevin Demoff, and even Kroenke probably told them, which so be it. So I think that answers it, Mark. They're just like, hey, just go home to your hometown and enjoy your time, be with family, and we'll see you when we see you, when we get back together, probably. My guess. And that's my guess. So we shall see, Rams Nation. We shall see what happens, but I tip my cap to Alaric Jackson for being a strong human being and dealing with it and still wanting to play football. It's tough for sure. But what's another update that we got from Coach McVay? And, well, Rams Nation, a Kyren Williams contract update. As McVay says, the Rams and running back Kyren Williams, our former All-Pro player, are getting closer to a contract extension. He first started out saying, like, hey, it's the same. No new news. And then he kind of got squeezed out like, hey, we're making good progress. The numbers are getting closer, yada, yada, yada. And I'm sure, if any of you are fluent in McVay talk, if you squeeze him on a question far enough, or not us or me, but if a reporter squeezes him far enough, he'll give, key answers to certain things, and they're able to get that out of him. So pretty good news. Look, we've talked about it a ton. Is it 10 million or above? I don't think that's a smart idea. Less than that, I think that makes sense, right? For all the things that Kyren does great, and then some of his things he needs to improve on, right? Stop fumbling, maybe get a little faster if that's possible. Hopefully, we'll see, and yada, yada, yada. But, Nikko, what are your thoughts on Kyren as a player? He's very polarizing. People think that anyone could do his job. Anyone could be rushing for 1,000 yards in this offense, yada, yada, yada. Oh, anyone could score goal line touchdowns and this and pass block. And then your thoughts on what a contract realistically you think he should get.
Yeah, I think Kyron is definitely underrated by fans. I know fans will look at him and go like, "He's the reason we lost. He fumbled." And
I
I
know.
think that's definitely a valid reaction from them. I think that his fumbles are definitely something that I'm sure he knows that. I don't think that he needs the fans telling him, "You suck, you fumble a ton." But I think personally that he's a great player. And if you look at the stats, obviously stats don't tell the whole story, but if you look at the stats, he's been up there in the past like 3 years. I would say he's been top 5 running back the past couple of years that he's been starting. And I think that that's something that the Rams know. And I think that that's why they're trying to find a number in the financial sense where it's like, we don't want to overpay this guy. We don't want to, have another Todd Gurley situation where he gets hurt, because he also has an extensive injury history as well. But I think
Yep.
they also want to pay him fairly for what he's done to the team. Because if you look at the red zone past couple of years, it's been him. He's been a red zone machine the past couple of seasons. They run it down to like the 10-yard line. Let's give it to Kyron, have him punch it in. That's why Stafford's touchdown numbers have just been going down since he's been here, just because they've been giving it to him at the goal line. And I think that this year will be a little bit different because you got Devontae Adams, got Terrence Ferguson in the red zone, maybe a lot more passing touchdowns for him this year. But I think that having a like steady, solid like workhorse running back is something that's very rare, and especially a running back that can like grind out those like tough yards is really tough. And I think that he does a really great job of that.
Hell yeah, he does, man. But what do you think numbers wise he should get? With the average per year, whether it be a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, whatever. What do you think like his average per year? 10 million or more, or less than that? I mean, what's the number you think?
I'm not too sure I'm not a contract whiz, but
That's fair.
I'm gonna go and look up running back contracts right now, and I'll let you know.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, while you do that, then I'll ask Mark the hard-hitting question. I mean, what do you think? You think over 10 million? You think less? I know we've discussed this a little bit, you and I, beforehand, but the great debate continues on Rams Twitter and Rams, the Rams internet universe, Mark.
Well, I don't know if anybody has defended Kyron Williams as much as I have, for much of the reasons Nikko just explained.
Yeah.
His one shortcoming is he doesn't break off big runs, right? That's a known data point as well. That said, I love the guy. I love what the Rams line him up. But then, so the fan side of me says, pay him what he's worth. But then the other part of me says, you got Blake Corum. You drafted him 2 years ago. You drafted Jarquez Hunter. The Rams have some. I don't think there's any reason for the Rams to rush into a contract here. See what they got with those guys, and maybe they lose leverage if neither Hunter or Corum can get the job done. But I'd be hesitant to give him the big extension. I'd be a little bit more patient. And right now, I would say south of the big time running back contracts, whatever they are.
Yeah, that's fair. And then for me, it's got to be less than 10. It just my opinion. Why is that? Because we have to see him stay healthy for a full year. We have to see him not fumble in big games. And then I have to also see him be a part of the passing game a little more. And I know the passing game part of it has nothing really to do with his ability or lack thereof. It's McVay's play calling, never using the running backs in the passing game, which irritates the hell out of me for years. And hopefully we see that improve now that we'll be
Ian, one of the reasons I have a theory on that, I don't know if you remember this, but when Kyron first earned the starting job, there were at least 2 times where Stafford and him were unable to connect on short passes, and they turned the ball over where it glanced off Kyron's hands. I don't know if you remember those plays, but there were a couple, and that may have just been branded into McVay's brain, and he shied away from that aspect of the offense. Just a theory.
No, that's a good theory for sure. And I think that he's very, I love Coach McVay. I'm happy he's our head coach. But, he'll get stuck in his ways, and he'll get caught up with not using a player for a dumb reason like that in a certain aspect. Ask Tutu Awa how he feels about that. And now we paid him. Hopefully that changes. But hopefully I see the passing game improve. I mean, look at Kyron's caught important passes and touchdowns. Think of the great leaping one he had against the Niners early in the year. Think of the touchdown he had against the Vikings in the playoff tournament. I mean, he can catch, he can be disruptive, in my opinion. He was very good at running back screens at Notre Dame in college. So, I mean, he can do it. I think he can definitely be a good player in the passing game. I get him in the screen game at a minimum. I just think it would work well. That's up to the coaching staff to figure that out. But in terms of contracts, I think of all that, I think less than 10. Could you get him in the realm of maybe, Tony Pollard for $7 million or less? I know that'd probably be rich for a lot of guys, but for a player who's a former All-Pro and had a nice season just a year and a half ago and still had a really good season this past 2024 campaign, I think that's fair. But Nikko, after your contract search, what are your thoughts?
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
After Zoomies at the dog park, it's time for Drive Up at Target. In goes a big bag of kibble and one squeaky chicken toy for the good boy. Drive Up that's ready when you are, only in the Target app. Just tap Target.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
This episode is brought to you by Polestar. There's only one true way to experience the all-electric luxury SUV Polestar 3, and that's to take a test drive. It can go from 0 to 60 in as little as 4.8 seconds with the dynamic handling of a sports car. But to truly understand how it commands the road, you need to be behind the wheel. Up to 350 miles of range, the 3D surround sound system by Bowers & Wilkins. It's all something you have to experience to believe. So book your test drive for Polestar 3 today at Polestar.com.
If you went on a road trip and you didn't stop for a Big Mac or drop a crispy fry between the car seats or use your McDonald's bag as a placemat, then that wasn't a road trip. It was just a really long drive. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's.
Yeah, I just did a quick Google on Spot Rack here, and then I found out Saquon Barkley is the leader, obviously, with $20 million a year. And then in that like 9 to 10 range, you have guys like Josh Jacobs, Aaron Jones, James Conner, David Montgomery, Ashton Genty actually is at 8, 9.
Crazy. Yeah.
And then Joe Mixon, Chuba Hubbard, DeAndre Swift. So I think I would say that he's better than like more than half of those guys.
Yeah, I know.
So I think you're probably looking in at least the like 10 to 15. 10 to 15 is like Alvin Kamara, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones. I feel like he's more comparable to those guys than he is to some of the guys in the below 10.
No, I mean, that makes perfect sense to me. And obviously, when I said around the 7 range around Tony Pollard, I'm just being, I'm being team first mentality on that. But no doubt, if you got an all-pro next to your name, I mean, hey, you're a good player. You have another 1,000-yard season, and you're a big reason why we score any touchdowns at all. Hey, you're a pretty good player. And I expect that to be no different this upcoming year if he stays healthy, if he doesn't fumble in big games, and he is a part of the passing game more. But we shall see. If all things go well, he's a big reason why we win a Super Bowl championship. Screw it. Pay him that 10 north, whatever that is, the Kamara range, everything else that you name, right? Kamara, what is it? Was that 12-ish million around there? So, I mean, we win a world championship. That's fine with me, right, guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
Works for me.
So that's your update, everyone, on Kyren Williams. McVay says, hey, we're getting closer. Again, no one knows exactly what that closer means in terms of the numbers, but we just gave you our best guesses. But, hey, a good player, a player that embodies being a Ram, a former St. Louis Rams fan growing up. It'd be nice to have Kyren Williams stick around and hopefully has a nice season, another all-pro, and no fumbles. We all hope that. But some other fun stuff with stats and our other players on offense. Recently, if you pay attention to pro football Focus, PFF. The grades that come out weekly, daily, articles, rankings, all that fun stuff that, hey, I enjoy their stuff. But a lot of people treat it like it's the football Bible. And people are like, no, his PFF is this. No, that guy's not any good and yada, yada, yada. Okay. But, when it is scaled and, veering towards a player that is on your team and they're talked about well, then, you might end up being a little biased, maybe how we are going to be right now. So Puka Nacua was voted as the most valuable player on a cheap contract in the NFL by Pro Football Focus, as he was the number 1 graded wide receiver this past 2024 campaign, and he didn't even play in every single game. But I think with our own 2 eyes, or everyone with their own 2 eyes, I should say, that Puka Nacua is one of the best wide receivers. Is he the fastest? No. Is he the strongest? I think you could argue that, actually. Is he the quickest route runner, the best feet, the best this, the best that? And maybe not, but in terms of being a complete football player, get yards, get open, block well, he is a baller, and I'm glad that PFF recognizes him as that. But, gentlemen, the most valuable player on a cheap contract, I think they might be right. What other player could you think of as kicking ass like he is on a 5th-round contract and is balling out like an all-pro every year? Your thoughts, Mark, on PFF declaring him as such, and what you expect from Puka this upcoming year, now teamed up with Devontae and Matthew Stafford and everyone?
Yeah, when you think about it, he's a logical choice. So productive, and on a round 5 contract. So, and what do I expect from him this year? It's really hard to put your finger on what this offense, who's going to produce at a super high level. Is it going to be more of a team effort? We've talked about this. People are predicting a big year from Terrence Ferguson. They're predicting a big year, bounce back year for Tyler Higbee. Hey, this is Blake Corum's year to get involved. Devontae Adams is going to go off. Puka's going to go off. Tutu Atwell, it's time for him to step up. Jordan Whittington, he's going to emerge. And I don't know if all those things can happen, and that's okay.
No.
But Puka, I don't think he's really too concerned about that either. He just wants this team to win, and he's going to do everything it takes to get the W's. And I expect him to have a solid year. And I don't know if I'd make any more predictions beyond that as far as yardage, touchdowns, and all that, because this offense on paper seems to be pretty loaded, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is. And to your point, real quick, PFF also had the Rams as the number 5, going into the season ranked offense in terms of pass catchers. That includes the tight ends, the running backs, all the receiving players, and everybody that could catch a pass. They had them as a number 5 group going into the season. So I think a lot of expectations, and I think rightfully so. But Nikko, your thoughts on PFF having Puka as the most valuable player on a cheap contract, and your thoughts on what he's going to do in 2025?
The stat is pretty much just saying, like, this is how good the Rams scouting department is.
Yeah.
Because it's not really the contract at this point. It's really just like he's on a, 5th round contract. Yeah. So it's really just like he's on a rookie deal still as a 5th rounder.
Yeah.
That's really just what it is. But I think, he is one of the best receivers in the NFL. And he probably will be even better with having, less attention and like a more capable wide receiver in the offense with Devontae this year.
Yeah, it's please, everyone, please DJ Humphries, keep Matthew Stafford up so we can see him. Number 12 here, our new number 17, and Tutu and Jordan and Ferguson and Higbee, everyone go off. My goodness, because all this is fantastic. But if Matthew Stafford can't deliver the football or because he doesn't have time, then forget about all this most valuable on a cheap contract and number 5, preseason ranking going into the season, all this stuff. But man, oh man, Puka Nacua is a baller. Shout out to all the Polynesians, any of the Hawaii natives that went out to see him, talk to him, interact with him in the Rams this past week at Minicamp. But wow, what a great time to enjoy your wide receiver on a cheap deal before we have to pay him serious mega dollars probably next offseason. Let's be honest about that. That big boy contract is coming, and it'll be worth it. And I'm sure no one will complain. No one will complain. But pretty dang cool. Shout out to PFF for that, fun little tidbit. And we agree. We agree. But also going on in Rams land with players is that Kobe Turner recently talked to JB Long of the Rams, the voice of the Rams, as he does our play-by-play for radio every game. He also does fantastic interviews on behalf of the Rams in a multitude of different formats and yada, yada, yada. So Kobe recently sat down with JB Long, talked about how he is ready to take another step forward after his first season as a team captain this past 2024 campaign. And to add to that, we have a fun stat here from the Pro Football Hall of Fame ambassador. He is PFHOF ambassador on Twitter X. You can follow him. If you're tuning in here on YouTube, you can see all that. And he says, Kobe Turner, the Rams D tackle in 2024, was double teamed on 52.4% of his pass rush plays, the highest figure for any NFL interior defensive lineman per NFL, which is crazy. Aaron Donald retires, and he was getting double and triple teamed probably the most in the history of the sport, probably. And then Kobe Turner took that place immediately, which is crazy. And wow, I mean, the dude is so good, and everyone talks about, he didn't get as many sacks. He didn't produce in this, and that with pass rush and yada, yada, yada. But people forget that he switched off from playing traditional 3-tech defensive tackle and then playing head-up nose tackle, face-to-face with the nose or face-to-face with the center, excuse me. And he rotated between those two spots a ton. And he said, hey, whatever I got to do to help the team, if I'm the best nose guard here, I'll do it on this play. If I'm the best D tackle in this certain situation, I'll be that. So I'm not shocked to see this stat, but it is pretty crazy when you say it out loud and you're like, more than half and the most in the NFL? Holy crap, Mark. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and people don't recognize it. It's true. He kind of disappears from the stat sheets on occasion, but he's just another perfect for this Ram culture, super intelligent, hard worker, great attitude. He just wants the W's, just like Puka does, just like Jared does, just like Kyron does. Man, the Rams draft picks. I was just looking over, seeing who is up for contracts here, along with Puka. Kobe's going to be up pretty soon. Byron Young, Kyron. Man, we're going to have to make some decisions of who gets paid and who doesn't. But I think Kobe's another guy that's going to get paid.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely is. And he'll be worth it too. But decisions, you're right. You're right 100%. But Nikko, I mean, your thoughts on Kobe Turner as a player, how he performed last year with this fun stat now that you're aware of, and your thoughts on him going into this upcoming season.
I think just looking at the stat and think about it for a couple of seconds, I think that having Puna forward, like you were saying about him having to shift over to nose tackle and everything, I think having Puna forward will be really big for him because then he can kind of play like a true like rush D tackle instead of having to eat up runs and stuff. And I think that Kobe's been really great. I think that Aaron Donald has inflated people's ideas of what a defensive tackle should be in terms of sacks. Same thing with Chris Jones. And people forget that the defensive tackle's job most of the time, not to have sacks. Those are nice, but I think that the main job of a defensive tackle is just to really stop the run, to get pressure on the quarterback, and then most of your sacks should come from your outside edges and outside linebackers.
That's true. You're right. Aaron Donald's, skewed the hell out of everyone's mind. Like, your D tackle should be getting 12, 13 sacks a year while being double team and triple team every play. It's really incredible. But I mean, there's just so many freak athletes out there on defense now. And Kobe Turner is that guy. Is he like some super bendy Von Miller edge rush guy? Of course not. Is he this combination of insane power and speed like Aaron Donald? Of course not. But dude is an all-around fantastic football player. And you're right about Puna Ford. I mean, his joining to this roster should help him out a ton. So for all you guys who are worried about Kobe Turner getting to the quarterback and, consistently getting hurries, hits, sacks on the quarterback, I think they're going to shoot up significantly now that Puna Ford is going to be that nose tackle. on a play-by-play basis. And yeah, let Kobe go hunt, quarterback hunting. And I think it'll work out nice, but I'm excited. I think he'll be a team captain again. I think once you become a team captain, you don't relinquish that unless you're away from the team. Like Tyler Higbee was a team captain, but he was on the PUP list, rehabbing and all that. So I guess not that he was ineligible, but he wasn't technically on the roster. And that's the only way you'll lose it. And I think he'll blossom really well, Rams Nation. So be excited for number 91, the conductor. More conducting and saluting celebrations I hope we all see from him. And I'm excited, man. The season's so far away, but so close. So close as well. So that was your update on Kobe Turner, everyone. Go buy your 91 Rams jerseys and rep him, as I'm sure he'll be extended very, very soon. And what's another young Rams player that is probably been talked about the most I've ever heard from a young Rams player in the history of this franchise? And, well, that would be Jared Verse. Challenged Aaron Donald not too long ago. Got his ass whipped probably in the weight room. He enjoyed it. It was a fun video. We all saw it. But who's another legit player who has a lot of weight to his words talking about Jared Verse? And, well, that would be former All-Pro left tackle Teron Armstead says outside linebacker Jared Verse's play is a big reason why he retired. As shout out to our LAFB network friends for having this fun graphic, as they quoted Teron Armstead saying, "Yep, that young boy Jared Verse, I never got to see that man again. I'm retired." As Teron Armstead did elaborate in an interview where they said, "Hey, you're retired now, but who are some guys that you matched up against that you're glad you don't ever have to see?" And he said, "Hey, I could go down to some vets, but that young dude, Jared Verse," he was like, "I'm glad I never got to see that man again," which is crazy. As Teron Armstead played for the Miami Dolphins these past handful of years, and in that Monday night showdown where Jared Verse had a really good game, right? Sacked Tua Tagovailoa, hit him, had that strip sack and fumble recovery. And if you go back and watch the highlights of that game, I mean, Jared Verse was bull rushing, manhandling that Dolphins O-line. And, Teron Armstead was one of them on a couple plays where he was getting bullied. And again, a former All-Pro level player. But Jared Verse, I mean, the dude is legit. You got former All-Pros, you got current All-Pros, you get coaches talking to him after games. And this just should reassure all of you Rams Nation that Jared Verse is likely going to be one of the best edge defenders in Rams history if this trajectory continues. And I think that'll happen. But I'll start with you, Mark. I mean, your thoughts on the former All-Pro Armstead saying, "Yeah, that guy Jared Verse, I'm glad I don't got to play that guy anymore."
Yeah, two things to add on that. I watched that video and it was pretty cool. And the first guy he listed, by the way, was Jared Verse, not Myles Garrett. Not I forget the Raiders defensive end.
Crosby.
Yeah, those are the other two guys. But Verse, he couldn't wait to get Verse's name out there. And then he also predicted a future Defensive Player of the Year award, possibly multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards for Verse. So yeah, that was really cool to see.
Yeah, pretty dang cool. I mean, Nikko, your thoughts on Armstead's comments, and then your overall thoughts on Verse as a player going into year two.
Yeah, I mean, Teron Armstead, like you said, vet, block for Drew Brees, block for Tua. So I think he's a guy that I would trust if someone asks about, tackle or rushers. And I think that Jared Verse is that dude. I mean, I was at training camp last summer, and one of the main things I noticed about him and just the whole rest of the defense was the energy. Anytime that they would have a stop or something would happen where the defense would come out on top, they were just all chirping at the offense. They were just having fun out there. And he was really close with Byron Young, which I think probably played a really big part in his good year last year. And I think that him as a player, he seems like he's ready. Like he was so hyped. I mean, look at the guy just called out Aaron Donald, for gosh sakes. Like, how much more confident can you be in yourself as a player?
I mean, yeah, he's got all the confidence, and I hope Armstead is right. We see multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards, which is incredibly realistic. Again, if he keeps up this trajectory, I mean, he led the league in quarterback pressures. He obviously led all the rookies in that category. I mean, the dude talked about how he left 10 sacks on the field to Adam Schefter on his podcast. And the film doesn't lie. He did. Imagine if he's able to wrap up those quarterbacks on a lot of those plays. I mean, dude would have been an all-pro last year easily, in my opinion. So, I mean, it's in him. He'll definitely be a fantastic player for years to come. And how nice of the Rams to use a first-round pick and get it right on a college player instead of trading away for stars, which works out well too. But the Rams drafting process, like both of you have alluded to over this episode, I mean, it's just so freaking good. How many young Rams have we talked about this episode, and how all of them are Pro Bowl, all pro level players? It's really fantastic. So, man, oh man, Armstead, enjoy your retirement. No more Jared Verse kicking your ass on a play-by-play on a basis. So, pretty dang cool. And I hope Jared Verse has a nice season, stays healthy, and kicks some ass. And we do see those Defensive Player of the Year awards for sure. And I do expect that, Rams Nation. But some other good tidbits of news, as we already talked about in the previous episode, how Rams will travel up to Oxnard to have a joint scrimmage practice, you could call it too, against the Dallas Cowboys, as they do practice out here in California. And they will also now be having a joint practice that is official against Los Angeles Chargers out there in their facility in El Segundo by the beach. Should be nice weather then in August. And I'm sure when the Rams facility gets fully built, I have no doubt about it, they'll probably every other year travel amongst themselves. Chargers come there, Rams go there. But for this year, the Rams are going over there to have a joint practice against Jim Harbaugh's Chargers, which I assume will be that same, couple days before the preseason game, maybe even 3 days, where, like we talk about, this is the most important info you could possibly get for starters on the Rams, right? They don't play preseason. You don't even see rotational important guys most times. So this is where we're going to get all the big news of how starters are looking leading up to that week 1 game against Houston. So pretty good. And we're playing a smash mouth team, which is a good contrasting style from a lot of teams in the league. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. And I'm excited. Maybe I'll take a drive out there if it's on a good day in my schedule. But I mean, Mark, your thoughts on seeing Jim Harbaugh's Chargers and the benefits of doing a joint practice with them?
Yeah, it's a good team to go up against, like you suggested, due to their style. And I have a lot of respect for Harbaugh. I think that'll be really productive practices. And I like El Segundo in August, Woodland Hills. It can bake a little bit. So that may be one of the reasons they're heading out there as well. So, I'll be interested to see how that goes.
I hope it goes good. But I mean, Nikko, your thoughts on having a joint practice against the Chargers, the benefits, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I think just having another team in LA is definitely a luxury that other teams across the NFL don't really have. New York is obviously the other example, but I think having a team that's like so close in this case, which is why they play all their preseason games every single year against them, I think it's probably easier on the players just to travel, really close. It's just maybe, I don't know, about an hour-ish from the facility without traffic.
Yeah, so that's important.
Yeah. So I think that having them real close is definitely a plus. And then the Chargers, like you said, a really good team. They're up and coming. And I think that they also have a really young defense in certain spots. They got Dan Henley. They have Tariq Still. They have some really solid defensive players. And I think that will really help the Rams offense when they're trying to go up against a really solid defense that's different than their own too, because they got Jesse Minter over there. He called really good plays last year for them. So I think that it will be good for both teams.
You're right. And then also, as you were talking through that about their players on defense, I mean, this will be a little Puna Ford reunion, right? We'll see how good our run stopping ability is with now him being on our defense against that smash mouth run style offense that the Harbaughs like to employ, especially Jim Harbaugh with their, Najee Harris being there, their first round pick, who I'm just blanking on his name right now for whatever reason, who I really enjoyed out of the draft. So we're going to get tested. We'll find out a lot of good stuff. Hey, are we stopping the run better, or is it the same old story where good for a couple plays and then a breakoff run by a running back, a la Saquon Barkley? I'm tired of. I think he might still be running, unfortunately. But it'll be a good test. It'll be a good test. The Puna Ford reunion scrimmage. That's what we'll call it. That is what we'll call it. But, man, a lot of good stuff, Rams Nation, today. As Sean McVay did allude to that, hey, there was not a lot that was going to be going on in Maui, Hawaii. I mean, he joked about it like, hey, we're not going to get shit done, he said way back when. And they did practice a lot of community outreach stuff. But hey, we talked about all the updates with players. I think we got a lot of good info out of what he had to say in our own dialogue here today. And I just hope that all players stay out of trouble during this dead period leading up into training camp. Everyone vacation safely. No freak hiking accident. No this, no that, no DUIs, right? No, none of that. Everyone stays clean, and including you, Rams Nation. Stay out of trouble so you can go to games at SoFi or see your team wherever you are on planet Earth. But, man, we'll still be here. We'll still be cranking content. We'll have plenty of guests. Nikko will probably rejoin us at some point very soon as well. But a lot of fun stuff we talked about today, gentlemen, for sure.
Yeah, good stuff. It's great to have Nikko, too. Get a different aspect, a different view of where the Rams are headed. And we love connecting with other content creators, Ram content creators especially. We're trying to build a little network, a friendly association with some of these other guys. So it's nice to have you aboard, Nikko.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Nikko, one thing you didn't mention. Now, you guys have a website where you do a lot of published articles as well, right?
Yeah, you guys can go and check it out at LAFBnetwork.com. Same thing on all your other social media platforms. And we also have a couple of really good podcasts too. On our Chargers podcast has been doing really well. Chargers Unleashed. You can go and check that out any place you get your podcasts.
Sweet. Heck yeah, man. And again, everyone, Rams Nation, give Nikko a follow on X Twitter, Football by Nikko. As you're on YouTube, you can see how that's all spelled out. And then, of course, if you're unfamiliar with the LAFB network, follow them, check out their content, check out Nikko's content on the website, Twitter, X, everywhere you can get your LAFB content. We'll be tuning in, and yeah, you should be too. But hell yeah, Nikko, I appreciate you joining the show today, and a lot of fun. We'll have you back, absolutely. And Rams Nation, let me know in the comments section, what are your thoughts on the Kyron Williams contract extension? What are your thoughts on Darion Kendrick being back? And then what are your thoughts on Puka being voted as the most valuable player on a cheap deal? And then what do you also expect from Kobe Turner, Jared Verse, and the defense as a whole? Let me know all your thoughts or respond to them. We read them. We love the comments. Shout out to everybody that comments. And, man, what a great episode today, gentlemen, Rams Nation. Anything else before we get out of here?
Yes, actually. I forgot to plug my own things. Of course, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Rams fans, in case you want to listen, I do have I throw up my interviews, my audio. If you want to listen to it, I interviewed Chris Paul Jr., draft pick, former Ole Miss Rebel, if you guys are interested in that. And I also interviewed Rams D-line Laurel Murchison. You can find my audio up at the Football by Nikko show wherever you get your podcast. So 2 Rams interviews in my last 2 episodes. So go check it out.
Awesome.
Heck yeah, go check that out, Rams Nation. And, man, great content from tons of Rams creators, and we'll keep collaborating, and we hope you guys keep tuning in. But never forget, Rams Nation, go Rams, baby.
That's going to do it for this episode. Remember, you can reach us at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. Till next time, keep the horns up, stay safe, and have fun out there.